Here's the start, the audience, and
In an article by Al Jazeera's news service on June 3rd, they state that the Rohingya Muslims are living in apartheid-like conditions, and many of them are fleeing the country and abandoned at sea, while Myanmar denies that anything is happening. Most people have not ever heard of the word Rohingya, let alone have a meaning to go with it. There is an ethnic group of Muslims known as the Rohingya who are persecuted in Western Myanmar, and because of the persecution, many of them are fleeing and now are abandoned at sea. It is our responsibility to give these humans an identity and spread the word as best as we can, whether that's through social media or talking about it, to get the word out and get them help. In 1982, the citizenship law in Burma, and throughout my speech I will be using both the terms Burma as well as Myanmar, talking about Myanmar, which was formerly known as Burma. The 1982 citizenship law denies that the Rohingya citizenship, so they are effectively stateless. They have no place to call home, and they are also persecuted, and due to that, they want to get away, they want to flee, they want to find a new home. On June 2nd, BBC's Jonah Fisher states that on a purely human level, there are currently about 800,000 people in Western Myanmar denied the most basic of rights and discriminated against due to the circumstance of their birth. They've been fleeing into the hands of cruel trafficking rings because they're poor and desperate. So not only do they have nowhere to go, but their circumstances are not any better whenever they try to leave Burma. The government, both state and national governments in Burma, are a part of this persecution, and but they turn the other way and they deny that any mistreatments are happening to them. On May 15th, NPR's correspondent Scott Newman says that estimates that 6,000 or more such migrants are stranded at sea in Southeast Asia, and most of the people on the overcrowded and unseaworthy boats are thought to belong to the 1.3 million strong Rohingya minority in Buddhist majority Myanmar. Here's a picture that describes what it might look like. Of these thousands, like he said, the boats are not worthy to be on the sea. Many of them don't have engines. The conditions on these boats, they often don't have water or food, and many of them catch diseases and often have to be thrown overboard if they're close to dying or dead. On May 19th, the genocide and ethnic cleansing are both terms that have been used to describe what the Rohingya Muslims have gone through. And one thing that we need to think about is getting them out of the circumstance is one thing, but then where do they go after that? Where do they find a new home? Where do they call home next? And in the past, Thailand has been a place for refugees to go, such as Vietnam and Cambodian refugees have gone in the past. And they are saying that they don't have the resources to take care of these refugees. The Thai Prime Minister, along with the Indonesian and Malaysian governments, say that they don't have the resources, and they all say that if they were to take in a couple of these migrants, that there would just be a huge influx of poor and uneducated people into their country that they do not have the resources to take care of. A Thai naval officer talks about how it is not their policy to let the refugees come into their country, but that if boats came to Thailand, then they would give them the resources such as food and water, and if they needed fuel to travel on to another country. One thing that many of the Rohingya Muslims go through is they can be trafficked by human traffickers as well as sold as slaves. Sometimes those are their only options because they want to get out of Burma. On June 2nd, the BBC News reported that a human trafficker from a Thai official their warrant for arrest was placed in order to stop some of the human trafficking that's been going on in Thailand. On June 4th, NPR's Michael Sullivan talks about how there was a boat with approximately 700 people that were allowed to dock in Myanmar. And they were thought to be Bangladeshi as well as the Rohingya Muslims. It is unclear where these people were going to go, but they were allowed to dock after being held at sea for a couple of days. In a Times News article by Hannah Beach in May of 2014, she stated that evicted from their homes, more than 140,000 Rohingya now live sequestered behind checkpoints. Diseases fester in these crude camps. In June, top UN aid officials who traveled to Rakhine said she had never before witnessed such a level of human suffering. These Rohingya are suffering at the hands of their own government, and they need a new place to call home.